Agora,
And now, if we can have the image and the audio from the laptop. I will tell you a story, your story. You will enter a world full of mysteries and challenges, forests, deserts, pirate islands, haunted houses, with hundreds of places for you to adventure. Oh, of course, yeah. Accidents do happen. Anyways, tens of levels. Don't interrupt me. Come on. Moving on. Levels all over, hidden items, and so much more. All of that in Keys and Kastles. That's it, folks. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm André. I'm the CEO for GAMEscola. It's a school for development headquartered in Curitiba and São José dos Pinhais, two brick-and-mortar schools. We've been around since 2016, and launching Keys and Kastles this year was the personification of everything we believe in, because Keys and Kastles was created by an alumnus, Rodrigo, who's sitting right there. He worked for 3 years developing that game by himself. Worked with the coding, level design, cutscenes, and Rodrigo came here to have a run and show the gameplay. It's a unique work. 50 levels was launched March 28th, and about a year and a half ago, as we always do, we took that game to an event for folks to play, Rodrigo to have feedback from, players. And at that time, the Aperta Start Eddie, he sat to play Keys and Kastles. He spent like a couple of hours. He wouldn't let anyone play in his place. And when he left the table, he came to me and he talked to me in a corner and said, André, you have to launch this game, man. It's a great game. It's fun. Ed himself from Aperta Start, he provided a game analysis after he launched on his channel. If you're watching us from somewhere, thank you, Ed. And at that time, the game began to get some meat, because I said, Rodrigo, what do you need? That's the partnership with Dubrasil. Dubrasil always worked with productions, and it was an inspiration. I said, we're going to publish Keys and Kastles. And started working on that. Rodrigo needed artists. We went after artists. We placed a person to work on the cutscenes and the animations, and then he presented the subtitled scenes. Why shouldn't we dub it? And I have a school, and so I believe the future in this market is based on training. And I looked for Bruno, who's a coordinator at Dubrasil. He's a dubbing director. He's an actor, a voice actor. I said, let's exchange things here. And so Bruno, right there and then, he agreed, and we decided to add voice to the game, to localize, added an original voice. And Bruno can speak more about the process. Bruno. Good afternoon, folks. Great pleasure being here with you, along with GAMEscola, telling you a bit of this story. We've been partnering since 2018, if I'm not mistaken, where I truly believe in the synergy between the two companies. Dubrasil is a school for an expert program for voice actors with localized products like Knights of the Zodiac, Game of Thrones, My Hero Academy, Attack on Titan, and so many other titles. Today we've got, we're the dubbing studio that localized most anime in Brazil. Over 100 titles localized. Thank you, folks. And Dubrasil started basically to be a school. Always believed in the idea of making dubbing accessible and make it popular. Such an important piece of work, and for artists. I'm speaking as an artist. It's not easy to work with art in Brazil. It's not easy to live off art and theater and cinema. And voicing, dubbing, ends up providing support, allows us to continue working because we can make a living off dubbing from there and then do other things from there on. I was a student from Dubrasil 2010. I fell in love with the way the school thinks. I joined since 2012. I've been there 12, 13 years. I'm the executive director. I'm a teacher, dubbing coach, and that's where the partnership lies with the school. It's always been very clear, the passion that André, that GAMEscola has for teaching, training, and the care and the attention that you have with your students. That's key for projects like this to take place, for us to help foster the domestic market. I was here yesterday participating in the business rounds and talking to many companies, and even though for us here in Brazil, a dubbing studio, we localize products that are essentially made abroad. Most of our clients are abroad, but I'm so much happier when I have a meeting with a local producer, a small publisher. They're just beginning and bringing a promising game, because I know how much that adds to our market. And I think about all our students, yours, mine, all the artists that are coming and finding their space, and opportunities that we generate for work, through this movement. Want to thank once again. It was a great work when André contacted me. Actually, you asked if it was possible. Remember, Bruno, does it make sense to localize the game? I said, of course it does. It would not make sense not to localize. And what do you need? I only have narrators, just one voice. Okay, so let's have casting for the 3 or 5 applicants, and you can choose, and working on content that was developed by teachers and students from GAMEscola, and we also ran a casting with our students, and the idea was to give a first working opportunity for someone. And among so many folks that we talked to, came to the end result, Daniel was chosen by André, and I think Rodrigo, who's the game director. Think it's important for you guys to share with us what the process. Mine was easy. I just selected 5 people and asked each one to record part of the preview, and I sent you, and you approved it. So then it was the work in studio afterwards. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone here: Bruno, André, Rodrigo, GAMEscola of Brazil, allowed for this beautiful work, narrating the game. I've been an actor since 2012. I say I'm a former lawyer, ex-lawyer. What I love art is to be an artist. Every time I was going to record an ad or participate in a show, they asked me, do you work with voice acting? And I didn't. Never imagined doing that. So I think after so many people asking me about that, I said, oh, well, I think I have to work as a voice actor. And last year I managed to apply for a Dubrasil program to become an expert in dubbing. It's not that simple as many people think, and it's a program that opened so many doors, opened my mind actually, because it's much more than what I expected. I grew up with Hanna-Barbera. The Hanna-Barbera cartoons were the beginning. Don Quixote. So we imitated, we mimicked everyone, and so this thing about voice, working with voice, and so I went over to Dubrasil, and it's funny how the process took place. I was recording an ad, and I got a message on WhatsApp. I had 5-minute break. It was during my break that can you record a text 3 versions? This is. I said, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll find out. I went somewhere there in the corner, read it, ran the 3 versions. One of a voice that sounds more of the preview there. One more calm, and one's like, yeah, feel free and do it. I ran the 3 options in 5 minutes, sent over to Bruno. A couple of weeks later, I got the news that I had been chosen. Thank you, André and Rodrigo. And I went to Dubrasil. Bruno directed me. It was great work. It was fast, actually. Everything I imagined about working with voice were these 40 minutes, 1 hour that we worked there. There were a couple of takes, and it was beautiful. And then when it was, the finished work, I was so proud, Oh, it's my very first voice gig. I was still studying at Dubrasil. I've had 2 more gigs, and this is great, Folks, it's time for us to put Rodrigo on the mic. It's so interesting because when I started Gamescola way back there, Fabio's here. Fabio's kids are there. 2 students of ours. They won a global game jam. They have an incredible track record. Thank you. Came from Curitiba. Do watch. I truly believe in synchronicity. So before I open the floor over to Rodrigo, I want to mention just one more thing. A year ago, I was part of a podcast called Resenha Gamecast. The editor, Fabrício, he asked the question, speak at Gamescom or speak at a school? If you don't know, I run a volunteer work in public schools in the state of Paraná. My answer, if I'm not mistaken, speak at Gamescom, it's going to be impossible. So, Fabrício, thank you, man. You threw it out into the universe, and it came back to our lives. And Rodrigo, a few years ago, he joined Gamescola with a dream of developing games, and that's exactly what he said. He said, I'm here because my dream is developing games. I was walking downtown Curitiba, and he told a story to his mom. He wanted to study, computing, and, when did you think that Keys and Kastles could be something bigger than what you thought it was at the time? Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Great. Initially, this started way back, when I was unemployed. I was looking for a job downtown Curitiba. I was just about to leave, and I walked by Gamescola. I looked at the sign, game developing a workshop. I walked another 10 steps, and then I walked back. I said, what do you mean, a workshop to develop games? This is just, they're pulling the wool. So I entered, visit the school. The secretary showed me what the classes were like, the teachers, the rooms, and I said, wow, looks too good to be true. Can I come and watch a class and test, experimental class, to see if this is true? And I got there on Saturday, 10 a.m. The class was supposed to last 2 hours. Noon, I was supposed to go home. I went home at 6 p.m. I spent the rest of the day talking to the teachers and trying to understand. And I came to the first class, and I saw it was legit. Vinicius and his brother know that it was legit, that it was the real deal. You know, it was real. Started watching those classes, and maybe one of the teachers needed do something, and they ended up asking me to be a substitute. I was like a good student. I knew a lot of things about the program, and as time went by, GAMEscola started calling me more often to be a substitute teacher. At a certain time, I joined officially as an instructor, school, and still there, teaching game development and computing. Keys and Kastles started during one of those classes. A new student, very first day of school, he came for a test class. I taught him how to build a character, how to get the character to walk, to jump, and he did really well, and we had another extra hour. I said, what do you think we can do now? He said, well, we're going to create a door and a key to open the door. We created the door and the key. Teacher, I wanted it to be a lever. So we exchanged the key for a lever, and we had an animation of the door coming down. Teacher, when the door comes down, I want for the camera to shake a little bit, you know. We made the camera shake. That student, Nicholas, he's no longer at the school. He's concluded the program. He did really well until the end. But when he left after this first class, I replayed that same level some 5, 6, 7, 8 times, nonstop, and I swear to God, I looked at that silly level, had no background. I said, there's something there. It's so cool just to see the door coming down, the camera shaking. I was playing here, maybe you saw that same effect. Something so simple that stands out. I felt there's something there. And I started working on Keys and Kastles by myself, trying to do what came to my mind without a scope or anything. It was just fluid, you know, as ideas came in. At a certain point, I started showing people, started showing friends and other teachers at the school, and teacher Rafaela, English teacher. She's a great musician. She works with music, and she said, Rodrigo, music that you're adding are kind of half-wit, you know. What'd you do? I got it on the internet. She offered herself to do it for free because she believed in the work. When I needed, like André said, people for an animation, a cutscene, I showed the project to a friend of mine, Antonio, and he looked at it and he loved it, wanted to do, and started giving feedback and ideas. That's how we started working, and all of a sudden we called the folks from Dubrasil, as André said, and one day everybody was there, and it just came out right, you know. That's what makes the biggest difference in Keys and Kastles. It was not a project to raise money to be monetized, to be sold. It was not a project that just marketing based. It was something from the heart that people embraced, and that made all the difference in the world. It's work that comes from love from everyone who participated.
Congratulations. One thing I really like about all of this is that even when we tried to set a price for the game in order to list it at Steam, we thought of everything. Now, Keys and Kastles is available on Steam for $12.99 Brazilian reals. That's cheaper than getting a can of soda. So it's a great opportunity for you. You will definitely help us and support us. If you're watching us live, you can also support us and help us, because this is the first game that Rodrigo created, and I'm sure that it's the first of many. Rodrigo said that he invited Antonio to participate. He was his friend, but he forgot to mention that he was Antonio's student at GAMEscola. So We are creating a community collaborative game. We got some help from Dubrasil, and it's great because when we see all of this, there were many people who helped us along the way. In advertising the game, some people had early access to the game. We created a CD with the soundtrack because the entire soundtrack is original, and we sent that CD to some friends, some influencers. I can't leave the stage without thanking each person who posted something about Keys and Kastles or mentioned us on Instagram, YouTube. If you had a review or a mini video, a reel, that really helped because Keys and Kastles is a big success for us. It's no longer just a person's dream. It represents everything I believe in. It represents a lot that you believe in too, because you have the opportunity of including one of your students. And Keys and Kastles is available at a very, very low price, very affordable. It's like I said, it's only $12.99 on Steam. If you don't have $12.99 on Steam, just add it to your wish list because that will help us a lot too. So, since I have this time, I want to ask Danielle what you felt, because we know that many people got the soundtrack. How did you feel when you got the soundtrack? What was that like for you? This entire process for me is very special, from the very beginning. So the soundtrack was sent to my mom's house, I don't know, and she told me, "Oh, you got a piece of mail," and I already knew what it was. I didn't know what was in it. I didn't know what was in the package. But when I got it, when I opened it, the first thing you see is how much people were careful about including me. So you really felt the love and, you know, how people were paying attention to the details. There was a CD, a mug, a piece of chocolate, a letter, and it mentioned me, what I had done. So that was really personalized for each one. So that really made me feel proud, and it even really moved me because at the time I was a future voice artist, and that's when I realized that doors were opening for me. It made me proud, and I honestly enjoyed what I was doing. So that was the starting point. And today, the gift that I got as well, which is beautiful, is a trophy. It's not just a gift. You really gave me a trophy today, because that was the first voice work I ever did. And, you know, never forget your first time. So, in many years after I have a lot of voice acting jobs, I know that I'll remember this one. It will hold a special place in my heart. The music, the soundtrack. When you hear the first one, you hear the second one, and then you hear the third. And once it's over, you replay it from the first. Because it really sounds great, and it reminds you of the stages of the game. So it reminded me of being in the studio, voice acting, listening to the music, and knowing where I was. So that's very gratifying, and it feels really good. You know, you get to play something that you participated in. Yeah, that was different. The game hadn't been launched yet. We hadn't played it yet. So that was a great experience. He heard the soundtrack, and they transported him to the stage that he hadn't played yet based on, you know, what he had recorded in the studio. That's wild. Yeah, and I had to wait to the launch date so I could go and see it. And then I knew it was good. You know, those of us who are over 50, I'm talking about myself, I know that you're not, but we really relate to the graphics because when we were kids, this is what games looked like. So I don't have a son, but I'm trying to pass this on to my nephews so that they play it. Yeah, if you like Mario, this is great. Or Alex Kidd. So let me ask you another question. You know, we've been working with localization for a while, so I knew a bit about games because I've done voice work for some international and national games, indie games. You had never done any of that. This was your first voice acting job. And, you know, when you are localizing a game from abroad, usually you get reference files, audio reference files. You get a spreadsheet and you start reading your lines, what needs to be recorded. And you try to reproduce it in Portuguese. What's the biggest difference? Usually, with international games, you only have to record once. But when you're recording an original voice, since you don't know how much time you're going to have in the game, if there are any time restrictions, sometimes the game director is not there when you're getting recorded. You gave me a carte blanche, right? So I sent them a link and I said, look, you can listen to the recording live. And they said, well, we trust what you do. So I love that level of trust. But the fact is that, you know, people have questions. You never really know what they want because I can't read Rodrigo's mind. So my process was this. I said, Danielle, I'm going to record each line 3 times. So if there were 50, 80 lines, then we would have at least 3 versions of each line. If we had any questions, we could do more. So I asked him to do a more relaxed or younger sounding version, which is more common. The second version was a bit more like a standard narrator, and the third one was epic. And I said, you can be an actor here. Try to really enunciate the words. So that's what he did. He recorded each line 3 times, and then Rodrigo selected which one he liked during the game. I think it was really good because we didn't have to correct anything. There was nothing that we had to change. But what was it like for you as a voice actor in a studio, having to deal with it? So maybe you can even show us what it was like, what you had to do to get to the results. Well, since this was my first acting job, I didn't have the experience of, the experience of, for example, dubbing a movie, where you have a screen where you can see what you're doing. Since I was the original voice, it came as something new for me, but I've always really liked, like I said, Hanna-Barbera cartoons, Monty Python. I had some references, but always comedy. When we had a conversation, I didn't know what it was going to be like. I had only seen a picture of the character. And you even mentioned that, I could give my own take on it. I really followed your recommendation. So I did a natural voice, a more relaxed voice, and with the epic voice, this was funny because I tried to picture, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Because when you look at the game itself, you get carried into that more comedy side of things, right? It's fun. It's supposed to be a pleasure. So that was the start. That was my inspiration. So I recorded the 3 different versions. There were some that I wanted to do differently, so I actually had a 4th version of a couple of them. And at least for the beginning, at least for the teaser, they approved the epic version. Let me tell you a story. Your story. So this is something that I did a lot when I played with my nephews. I used to put on this voice to tell them a story. So I used it. I used the tools I had available. Since I didn't have any experience in voice acting, I just used whatever tools I had available. As an actor, since I played actor since I was a kid, but I found out in 2012 that I could do advertising work, I could work on TV, and that's what ended up happening. All right, we're coming to the end of our session, but we could not leave without making an announcement. We prepared something for Gamescom. Who here already has Keys and Kastles? And who, if you don't, now we're going to give you another reason for buying it. Tonight, we published on Instagram, some question marks. I have an assistant who receives spoilers from me, but to celebrate our participation at Gamescom, we are going to announce that at the end of July, everyone who has Keys and Kastles will get a free DLC with a new world and 5 additional stages. And that will be a total of 55 stages for an indie game that only costs $12.99. So if you haven't purchased it yet, you now have the opportunity of doing that because the game will come with a free expansion. Keys and Kastles will be available for everyone to play at RetroCon, which will be on August 3 and 4, and Rocking Games Party in Curitiba on July 28, the last Sunday of July. We'll have the game there. It will be the Indie Hall, supported by Anima Game Studio, and also the Game Creators Association from our state, Paraná. So it will be very interesting. This will be an opportunity to show our game to others. So thank you, Bruno. Thank you, Danielle, for believing in what we do. And thank you, Rodrigo, for believing in GAMEscola. Thank you. So to conclude, we're going to run the teaser here for you. It was narrated by Bruno, so we're going to let you see our second trailer for Keys and Kastles, which is also available. And if we can play audio with it. Welcome to the enchanted world of Keys and Kastles. A journey that started as a simple experiment in a classroom and flourished throughout 3 years of tireless dedication from a single passionate artist. It started as a solitary perspective from a creator and evolved into a piece of work that reflects the soul and passion of its creator. From the beginning, Keys and Kastles was a personal project, shaped with love and care by a talented developer who had to brave the vast territory of game creation by himself. Innovative mechanics, different settings, a narrative, playability, meticulous game design, characters. This was all conceived and created by a single mind. Throughout the way, others joined his journey, contributing with their own art and talent to make this world even richer. The soundtrack was composed, cutscene art was created, the game was localized, and each edition was integrated masterfully. The essence of Keys and Kastles has always been simple: to be a refuge to which anyone could escape into a world of wonder and adventure at any moment. There are no frantic battles or enemies to defeat, only intriguing challenges and astute weapons testing the player's ability. In Keys and Kastles, you are the master of your own destiny, navigating labyrinths and finding the hidden secrets without getting caught. The different stages are like small treasures waiting to be discovered. Each one is filled with unique wonders and emotional challenges, from arid deserts to exuberant forests and pirate islands. Each world is a work of design with distinct mechanics and surprises. Each element was carefully created to capture players and offer an immersive experience. Above all, Keys and Kastles is a game for you to have fun with. If you'd like to forget your reality and leave your troubles behind, getting lost in a world of wonder, this is the game for you. With an auto-save system and uninterrupted gameplay, it is a refuge where you can explore, find more, and have fun at your own pace, without needing to hurry or worry. Get ready to embark on this unforgettable journey with Keys and Kastles, a tribute to the power of imagination and the passion of a lonely creator who made his dream come true.
Folks, we want to thank each and every one of you who remain here watching us. Thank those who watched us over the streaming service. Everyone just gave us a great support. Today, it's a special day. I'm emotional, actually, being here. This whole track record since 2016 faced so many challenges, and 2020, 21 spent 1 year and 10 months with our school closed, locked down, but we resisted. It was difficult, but we overcame. Thank you, each and every one of you. Have a wonderful evening. Great event. Thank you so much.